You've seen it. People offering quarterly and annual subscription options for their membership. But the question is does that really impact retention versus the standard monthly? Well, I've pulled this quick highlight for you from my conversation with Matt Gartland, who is the CEO of Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income Community, and we're talking about how billing cycles impact subscription retention.
So one of the things I love about how you present the offer is not just that you really focus on like that community aspect, but I noticed like you all have like a one-off course and then you have the all access pass, which is just a little bit more expensive, but it's really annual. I didn't really even see a monthly offer, but I also know you do like quarterly payment plans. I think you all are really smart, probably because of your data background in playing with the actual offer, not the pack, not what they get on the other side of it as much, but how are we presenting it to people? And a lot of that, plus the community piece, has really led to a super high retention rate. So I'd love for you to talk just a little bit about like the psychology of the offer and sort of how you all package and present the offer differently, based on how people are seeing it.
We'll start with the psychology side for sure. And then there's just, quite frankly, like business to discuss, right? In
Yeah.
terms of how, as an executive, and the folks listening, like how you need to think about, at least from my standpoint, the design of your company, right? And the design of not only what it's trying to accomplish today, but then are you making good business decisions today in terms of the fundamentals to support growth that can be also profitable and sustainable? But first, on the psychology side, we want and need, I think, especially these days, to create more time and space for people to really learn, adapt, and apply what they're learning. To think that someone can maybe become successful in a week if they take an online course on their own, like a DIY sort of an experience, and then start to implement it and get the wins there. I think that's increasingly sort of a challenge thesis for anyone trying to do this. And then if it doesn't go well, the lifetime value that you might calculate and ascribe to that customer, right, is potentially compromised or diminished, right? If they don't have an ability to get feedback, to have some flexibility even in their own schedule, life gets in the way frequently. People need to not be prioritizing their online course learning, right? And something else comes up. So inside community, inside the experiences we have built, like that's kind of baked in, right? Again, it's a safer space. Things can happen. Even if they have to step out of an accelerator, if they're in one, like that's okay. We're here for them. We're not going anywhere, right? So in terms of then like these decisions around psychology that have impact on business, is that then like they don't have to make another purchase decision. This offer is a recurring revenue offer. Like it is a subscription product, which then for the health of the company is a better thing, right? And again, this stuff just collapses back on itself, still kind of integrated. But yeah, the psychology I get for the student is that, okay, I have time to learn and apply. I don't have to rush. I don't have to feel that pressure necessarily. At least maybe feel it less because again, this is an environment where I'm getting the SPI team support. Pat's there, Matt's there. Sometimes we bring in experts as well, right? Outside experts that we have relationships with. I'm getting that support from my peers, even if I have to take a break, I can come back to it. And then from the billing mechanic standpoint is, okay, yeah, I paid and we offer quarterly and annual billing right now. So even if it takes them 3 months to come around to that next point of renewal on their subscription for All Access Pass, hopefully they've made some good progress in 3 months, right? And 3 months is a good barometer of time to create enough of that space for someone to actually apply what they're learning.
Yeah, I think it's genius. And I think when we talked before, I told you I had a friend who grew a very successful membership in the guitar space. And he is like a total data scientist around everything that he does and was always tweaking. Like that was his job in the partnership was to test, read the data, and learn. And they found that quarterly billing was the most effective way to not just retain people, but actually help them get more results. And when I do cohort retention analysis for all of my clients, we look at it and it's always that month zero or month one to month two drop off, if you will, where you lose the most people because they don't really give it enough time to see, like, oh, let me get past the onboarding. Let me dive in and do the first thing. And we want to support them. And we create lots of elements to support them and that to help increase that. But at the end of the day, like if you only are thinking I'm dipping my toe in for a month to see what I can get done, it's hard to really carry people on to that second month. So I love that it's like, no, they're in for 3 months. We have 3 months to really help point them to the right resources to help them see some small wins along the journey and for them to really get a feel if this is for them.
Exactly right. So very then squarely on retention, like retention improves, your churn goes down, right? And we didn't know that per se. Like maybe there was some guesswork there. We did start with monthly and annual. We didn't start actually with quarterly when we launched the first community back in that summer timeframe of 2022. And we learned this stuff. So like there's a lot that maybe looks pretty, I don't know, obviously in terms of us talking about it, but like we've learned some of this stuff the hard way as well. So learn, adapt, change, and evolve. So that was one of the more important adaptations that we have made within the business was moving to quarterly as the baseline. I know of other communities that they only offer annual. That's a higher threshold to get someone past, but then you have a whole year to deliver value. And then when that comes up for renewal, at least that thesis is like, okay, they're going to say like, gosh, this is a no brainer. I've got so much value over the last year. Of course I'm going to renew, right? Hedge your bets. Different market segments can produce different results. So big asterisks here,
Yeah.
right? I personally don't think in terms of how we're serving and the sort of customers that are kind of the right fit for us, that would probably work as well. Having a quarterly option seems to be a good sweet spot for us.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. For those of you listening, the one thing I want you to take away from this is that there's not a one size fits all solution and you have to test it with your market. So I have one client that they only offer monthly, primarily because of the operational load that it requires to offer annual and everything else that you have to put into place, annual renewal strategies and annual upgrades and how it works on the back end. Like, how do you handle that annual? But they used to have an initial buy-in fee. So of a couple $100, right? I think it was like $279 to get in. And then after that, like $67 a month. And they've had that forever. And she grew to 10,000 members. It was amazing. But then they said, you know what, let's take it away because all we're doing is preventing people who need our help from getting inside of this membership. And we don't want to do that anymore. The day they dropped it, they 3x'd their conversions on their evergreen funnel. I mean, it was insane. Just like that $200 buy-in fee on a $67 a month membership, dropping that, 3xing their conversions. Now, we did take a hit on the retention side for sure, especially in that first month. We've been doing some things to work on that. But financially, it made way more sense because of the increase in conversions to take the hit on the retention side. So that, like, I just love the data behind it all. I know I nerd out about data all the time on this podcast, but just if you don't know your numbers, I talk a lot. I have episodes on calculating retention and lifetime value and all of that. Go back and listen to those because if you don't know your numbers, you can't make these kinds of informed decisions and you're just cookie cuttering whatever you've seen everybody else do. So definitely like dive into that data.